see the next slide as it comes up. So just wanted to very quickly touch on Serious Games Institute. It's a very interesting model. It's bringing together business and academic groups. And the idea is that it's to set up a kind of centre for excellence in serious games and virtual world research, study, and business. And we have been reasonably successful. We had a turnover of 1.41 million over the last year. We've brought in about over 3 million, I think, in funding over the last 3 years. And for a small group, we're definitely kind of punching above our weight. And we feel that this model of bringing industry and academia together is very much a model for the future. So a lot of people around the world are interested in what we're doing in terms of the actual model of the institute itself. So it's something that we really do feel is something that can really contribute something not just nationally but also on a global level. And this focus around applied research, we feel as well, is something which is very powerful. So I just wanted to pick up on some of the selected R&D projects. I'm not going to really talk heavily about the projects. I've underlined the ones I'm probably going to talk about today, so I'll just pick up a little bit of detail there. I think the main thing on this slide is just to pick up on the main 4 themes, although the 4 themes can be 5 themes sometimes, and it's quite a dynamic setup, really. But I think in general, these 4 themes really link together. So we're looking at the psychology of understanding game-based learning. We're looking at neuroimaging to try and understand more about that. Also, this idea around visualization, how things are visualized, and human-computer interaction is another of the important strands. And then we're also looking at artificial intelligence and multi-agent technologies to see how you can actually create supported environments using artificial intelligence in a much smarter way than we've seen currently used. And then also this area around semantic web and metadata and standards is the 4th strand. So I'm going to try to illustrate these strands as we go through the presentation. And I'm going to mainly talk about the Serious Games Engaging Training Solutions project, which was a £2 million project funded through the UK Technology Strategy Board, through 2 business partners, Select, who are a training organisation, and Blitz Games, a games company. I'm going to, although we've finished that project, it's something where we've had some very interesting results. I'm going to present some of those results today. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about a few other games. One is the Childhood Obesity game, which was developed by Warwick University. We've been undertaking the evaluation with them, and that's to try and encourage kids to be more active in their gameplay. And I'm going to talk about the very exciting Roman Nova project, which is looking at how we can use immersive environments for training kids in a way which is cross-disciplinary and in a way which integrates different kinds of technologies, multimodal interfaces, and also artificial intelligence techniques. And then I'm going to touch quite briefly as well on the Meducator project, which is looking at kind of the standard size of how you can repurpose serious games content in order to reuse content. So I'm going to really kind of touch on some of these case studies that were coming out of the Serious Games Engaging Training Solutions project. And I'm going to try and signal this area of behavioural change importantly. And a number of our studies have really looked at how games can, in fact, promote behavioural change. And this is something which, obviously, if you're in the e-learning area, is almost like, it's the holy grail. How can you really change behaviour? It's not really an easy thing to do in traditional learning. So I'm going to talk about three case studies. This one is called Ward Off Infection, and it was aimed at nurses, and it's very much about infection control in hospitals. So it's about hand hygiene and how you can actually promote better methods of hand hygiene. So I'm working with a bit of a delay there, so apologies for my side. So what we did as part of the project then was we polled 221 nurses and medical ambulance workers to find out how they were playing games and to try and profile them to understand more about how they played games so that we could design a game that would work for them. So what we did was we asked them how often do they play computer games. So I've got a slide here just to show that. We've got males and females division there. So as you can see there, the under 30s, as you might expect, males, under 30s, you had about 80% of people that were actually playing games on a regular basis. The drop down comes to the 30 to 39-year-olds, and it's just under 70% for that group. Then quite a big drop down to about 35% of 40-plus people men playing games. So that's, although, you know, you've got to bear in mind this is a the demographic, that's probably reasonably representative. I think probably it would be higher in the general population in the plus 40 age range. Then moving over to ladies, just over 50% of under 30s were playing games. And interestingly, there's hardly any fall away there to 30 to 39-year-olds. They're just maybe a couple of percent under that are actually playing games. But then a smaller drop, interestingly as well, to about 25% of plus 40s playing games. So there is a bit of a drop there. But actually, as you can see, that drop isn't major, and it's not really that significant in terms of the female audience. I'm just typing now, thanks. So we asked them then, what type of games are you playing? And I think this is quite interesting. We've got a gender split here. I think you can kind of see that female spike there. A lot of ladies playing puzzles. So ladies in the audience, how many of you are playing puzzle games or play puzzle games? Are there any ticks from the ladies? I mean, it does seem to me that if there are ladies in the audience, they probably will be playing games, and yeah, we can see a couple of ticks there emerging. For guys, then, what games are you playing? Action games, adventure games, fighting, perhaps unsurprisingly, sports and strategy. I think the important point there is you can see there's actually quite a large range of different kinds of games that guys are playing, whereas with the women you can see the spike there. Interestingly, on this slide is the group there for education, although you can see a bit of a difference there. Statistically, there's no difference actually in educational games, which might be because not many people are playing them, or it might be quite a positive thing for the future in terms of, you know, we're going to see less of a gender division there in educational games. So then you can see that cut against age range, I think again. So basically, if you're a woman and you're 30 to 39, you're going to be playing puzzle games, according to this research, certainly if you're in that demographic. So I think you can see that kind of quite interesting data there coming from that study. So then we asked them what was their preferred learning method, and I think it's quite interesting there. You can see, but I just wonder, you know, how much. Okay, we know this is a particular demographic, but I wonder how much this would map against the general population. So that's something a study to do maybe in the future. But you can see the huge spike there. I mean, the majority of people want to learn on the job, as you can see, and that's male or female. It's pretty much the same. And then there's quite a big drop to get tutor-led learning. So I think it's quite interesting. Video games, again, quite a small number, probably because not many people are playing them right now, because there just isn't that much of that around. So why is this then? Well, we brought quite a kind of old slide here from, I think it's 1969. Edgar Dale's Cone of Learning. Obviously, there's been some controversy as well around this particular research, but it does seem to be borne out through other studies. But I think what's interesting is this idea about active and passive engagement. And you know, if you're doing the real thing, you're much more likely to remember it because you're more engaged. If you're simulating the real experience, you're also quite likely to remember what's going on, and it's likely to have an impact on you in terms of your memory and so on. A dramatic presentation, which I would like to think I'm doing now, but obviously because I'm not with you and I can't see you, it's difficult to know that I am actually getting through. But hopefully you will remember this more than if you were, for example, reading. And this information is supported in Chi et al. 1989, their study, which was looking at retention rates, which I think is quite interesting. And I think you can see there the way it's mapped. If you're doing something, you're much more likely to be retained onto the course. 80% of those students will retain to the course if they're doing something. Whereas if they're just reading only, you know, you've got a 10% retention rate. I mean, that is a real challenge, obviously.